This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome, everybody. Today, I have some of my black belt friends with me to celebrate our new book coming out March 16th called Black Belt Women, Lessons on Perseverance. You guys, my journey in the martial arts began around 14 years ago when my son and I walked into Gentle East Taekwondo here in Maryland to take a class. And I've written about that journey before, like in a whole book, but this year I wanted to bring my female warrior friends together to write about the lessons and the lifestyle of martial arts from a woman's point of view. I know that you guys are going to enjoy getting to know these powerful women and authors today. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
So, I have Maria Carrera with me. She's celebrating 30 years practicing martial arts. She's a black belt, first dan in karate and fourth in kickboxing, and has represented Great Britain proudly for the last 7 years in European and world championships. She's the CEO of Carrera's Studio Martial Arts. I also have Nuri Criollo. Is an Olympic Taekwondo master. I'm laughing, you guys, because pronouncing these names, I want to get them right so bad. She's an Olympic Taekwondo master with a 5th degree black belt from the Kukkiwon. She is the youngest and only female international referee for Ecuador in both Poomsae and sparring. Her life goal is to pass on Taekwondo skills to all who are willing to learn from her. You can connect with Nuri on all the social platforms, and I'm going to have you guys all hooked up with websites and social down in the show notes today. Lastly, I have Christina Morris with me. She's a passionate kickboxer, sensei, and product lead for an FTSE 100 technology company. She's lived in London, Berlin, and Munich. She has been a wellness blog writer and editor and contributed to books and newspapers. This project reignited her love for writing. I'm so happy that it did that for you. She lives with her husband and is expecting a baby. And you guys are going to find Christina on LinkedIn. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Maria, I'm going to start with you. So tell us a little bit about your story and this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Hello, everybody. Well, first of all, I want to say it was a great opportunity when you say, at the beginning, I was like, oh, I had to talk about myself. It's not something I am much. I talk about myself, but not as a proper writing or talking or doing something serious. But I found myself enjoying so much. And I realized going back in the times, because when my black belt was, like I say, 30 years training, 4.5 years after that. And so many adventures, so many things. It just make me remember. I keep telling to the students after how fun all these things has been, you know. Yes, amazing, you know, amazing journey.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about the lesson that you talk about in the chapter.
Well, lessons are many. Sometimes you don't realize the lessons until someone asking you about which lesson, because you just live, you just mix. Whatever you do in martial arts is a part of your life. I think everybody agree and everybody say it's a way to live. Then just you do things, but you don't realize all this come from martial arts specific, you know. But it's everything, how you project, you approach to life, how you go into work, how you move in countries without languages, without nothing. It's like when you go into the mat, you go there, you've been ready, you've been preparing, you've just believed in whatever you have inside of you, and then you expose. If it's working, you will get something. But if it's not, doesn't matter. You're still getting something because you meet people, you go, then it's kind of a happy life or happy style, you know, in going, because you go always a winning.
I love what you just said, that you get something out of it, but then even when it feels like a failure, you're still getting something out of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter either way. Well, wouldn't you agree though that to have that happen, you have to have that beginner's mind?
Yes, always. Because that's something I still, well, I'm 49 and I'm still fighting, It's something like not many people goes with the age, and I want to keep going until I 90 years old. I want to still teaching. But to do this, you have to get probably the ego. Don't have the ego to say, because then you start going, if I lose, what the other students going to think about it, what is going to be, doesn't matter. You do for yourself. You is not show off. And when I don't enjoy anymore because I don't enjoy, then I will stop. Yeah, then you have to keep kind of enjoy all the time and be like a child. Yeah, you want to play, you want to do the roly poly, you do something wrong, you just have fun. Doesn't matter.
Yes, I feel you talking about the age and particular things in the practice. And I'm 53, and a couple of years ago, the sparring got way more difficult for me. I think the combination of physical and mental, and probably as you all know, everything is a little bit more mental, right? We think certain things about our bodies, we think certain things about our ability, but the thing you said the most that resonated is I stopped enjoying it. And I could be there no matter what ability I had, but if I wasn't really loving it, then that was the disconnect for me.
Yeah, that's it. I think you have to, you're doing, I say in the book, things, it's funny because in a side, you don't do things only for yourself. You start thinking, I deserve, the people deserve it all the time. They've been missing me, or the time they've been doing. And it's true, you put all these people, but you don't know, it's like I say always, the good excuse. You have to pick up the good excuses to help you to push yourself, not to bring you something hard that you had to go the big back, I had to do for these people. This different way. The same thing can be good or can be bad. And then you have to keep going and using all these things as a tools to work and helping you to grow, Then when you don't enjoy, you don't have, doesn't matter, you do for you. You don't have to tell, because nobody is gonna live your life. You are the only one you're gonna live your life.
Yes, thank you, Maria. I'm going to move to Nuri now and ask you the same thing. Nuri, talk to us a little bit about your story and this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Oh man. Well, when I got the information about the book that you were trying to write, it kind of jumbled my brain a little bit because in my experience, I've had to deal with a lot of things because I am a woman in the sport of martial arts. It's always been, at least Taekwondo, it's always been a male dominated field. And in the story, I kind of tell everybody how I had to deal with all that as a child. And I thought, I would be treated equally, but there's some things that apparently aren't always like you think they would be, especially in a sport where we teach about respect and we teach about equality and all that stuff. And unfortunately, I actually had to deal with some of that growing up as well, especially in the referee field. There's been some difficult things that I've had to deal with just to be able to do the thing that I love, which is Taekwondo outside of my own facility. So you using the word perseverance, consistently, especially on the title, definitely defines what my chapter is about. Being able to push through the issues that everybody else might have with us, trying to succeed in the sport where we're not technically seen as equal. At least not before. I feel like now we're a little bit, more into the higher fields. People respect you more because you're a black belt, because you're a master. But yeah.
We're inching toward it, right? It's not where it needs to be by far. But people like you who speak up for it and actually just speak about it at all, get it out of our heads and out loud and have the conversations and initiate the conversations of what's still not quite there, I think is really important. You said something a minute ago. You've had to move through a lot of challenges to just be able to do the thing you love. Oh my gosh. Right? Say more about that.
Well, I mean, trying to stay on the realm of martial arts, just in my own school, being the only female that tested for black belt, trying to prove to everybody else that I was as equal or sometimes even better than some of the other, male students that we had in the studio. And I think it was a little bit hard for them to kind of understand that because my instructor, he was actually a world champion. He was in the national Korean team back in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. But he had a lot of passion for me, and I was kind of his favorite, if we can say that. I know we usually, don't have favorites because everybody is learning from us, and we want to be able to be teaching everybody the same. But he kind of took me to the side, and maybe he saw that, I was more passionate than everybody else about it. But he kind of helped me move out of that mentality of me having to prove myself all the time. And then same thing growing, getting older and becoming a referee itself. And I actually did train under Master Holloway for referee as well. I know he's your instructor and you came from that school as well. He sees everybody the same, which is not something that you can say for everybody else within the referee world. I've actually experienced where I go to an event, I referee, and I'm in the ring refereeing, getting everything done. And, somebody has an issue with how I actually follow the rules. And I've been physically escorted out of an event before because they don't think I'm qualified, or, I'm not really a master according to them because I'm a female and they have some whatever personal issue with me. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
I would imagine that. So, you're talking a little bit about the referee world, which is, I think, even another more challenging situation, another animal. Like it's, there's being a student in that world. And then you made the decision to get into refereeing, which you would hope you would experience the same levels of respect all around, but as we're hearing, that's not always true.
Yeah, no. And I mean, if you guys read the story, like I've explained a really bad situation with my own company, with another, person that I actually trained under them for a couple of years when I was a child. So, looking up to these people, you would think that they would follow the tenets that we're talking about. But, apparently some people, we can't really trust everybody, even though we should be able to in this kind of sport.
Yeah, you're talking about a lot of life situations right now, aren't you? I mean, yeah. It's interesting because I think one of the things you're helping me to think about right now is that you are in a place that has its rules, its tenets, its foundation that you learn. And yet you can be in that environment and be tested in terms of what you're thinking about the other people around you, and if they are following that foundation, those rules, those tenets. And it's almost like, okay, and as a woman, I know I've questioned it in my head over and over again. Hey, Laura, are you going to actually say something about this, or are you just going to stay quiet? Right? Because I think it's scary to speak up in general. But as a woman in a world where it's mostly men, and also with people who you are very obviously not following those tenets, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm again growing. This is a lifestyle, like Maria said, and I would expect the same from everybody else who's been doing this for years, even more time than myself. So, that's kind of what I took from this project, was seeing how I have been able to push through, whatever issues I have had run into, just because I'm a female, just because I wanted to be better than, someone else, and push through and become the best that I can be, so I can pass that on to my students.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And so let me say to all of you, thank you for saying yes to this, and for being brave enough to, make that decision that you were actually going to tell the story in writing. It's one thing to tell people your story, but it's another thing to put it in black and white and hit publish on something, right? Christina, let's move to you now with this. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about your story and the chapter that you wrote.
Yeah, so I think it's been, really great to be part of this project, because it's taking that time to reflect on how far you've come, which is like really a nice thing to do for anybody. I also think that, at first I was like, okay, a martial arts story, but it's never just a martial arts story. There's so much more to it. Your life outside the dojo influences what you do inside, and vice versa. And so it was like quite interesting for me to write about different experiences I've had in life, whether that be, trying to progress in my career, or trying to plan a wedding, or whatever, and just how that influences different things. So I think it really showed me that any martial artist, the reason why we're kind of passionate about it is it gives you tools for life. There's things you can take away from your classes and from your teammates, and that's probably, discipline, sense of community, being more aware about each other. And I think you apply that in all different aspects of your life, your family, your friends. And so, yeah, it was a really nice experience to write about my journey.
I love that. You're so right. You just summarized that so beautifully. The reason we're so passionate about it, and maybe we didn't know it day one, but you learn it very fast if you're in an environment that is respectful and experienced. Right away, you realize where you are and that it matters, and that you're about to be taught things that are lifelong gifts, right? That will apply to almost everything. I remember times where I would sit, maybe just I've driven to class and I'm sitting in my car and getting ready to go in, and I'm actually nervous. It's just class. It's not an exam. It's not anything else. But it mattered to that level to me, to the point where I would even be nervous just showing up, because I wanted to be able to show up with all of me. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it totally does. I think, because you don't get a black belt if you're not given 100%. And it's those little things like being nervous for a class, or being nervous for a fight, maybe, that I think maybe that's more things that influence me, whether it's, in school fighting or against another school, or I've done a WACO fight as well. So World Association of Kickboxing. So I think that, that nerves and those things are like what drive you. And actually, it's a good thing. You can use that, and it can be quite powerful.
Yes, for sure. It's funny you're using the word fighting. And I wonder how our listeners are receiving that word, right? And you're talking about being able to use your skills in a match in class, or in a competition, or, and that's one of the things about being a woman who chose a combat sport, right? Who chose to come into the world of fighting. And a lot of people look at it like that, and then they think you're slightly crazy. They want to know why you picked that. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's an interesting thing. You know, fight is such a loaded term, and if you tell people like, "Oh, I was sparring last night" or something, it sounds like a bit softer, I guess. But you know, when you tell people in any scenario, "Oh, I'm a black belt kickboxer," they say, "Oh, I'll stay away from you."
Exactly.
And you think like, actually the key things about that I take away from it are, yes, okay, it's really, you know, badass and great to be a black belt, great to be a kickboxer, but you know, the key things are like discipline and the sense of community. I think they're really like what makes me love the sport. So I always say that to them. I'm like, it's open to anyone, but you know, only certain people can go the distance, I guess.
Oh my goodness, you said the D word. I'm like writing down a note here. You said the D word, so I'm going there. So this question is going to be for all of you, but I'm going to stick with Christina to answer it first since she said it. Discipline. So listen, awareness is foundational. It's foundational to a great life, but it's especially foundational as a practice for martial arts, right? And I always talk about taking that awareness to the next level and creating a discipline of it, which is, I learned that through my training. But talk to me about how that discipline or awareness practice has been for you personally. What has that meant for you?
Yeah, so I think, you know, it's important, obviously, to have a body awareness and awareness of other fighters, other surroundings in kickboxing. And I think it's called Zanshin, isn't it? State of awareness in Japanese, because one of our senseis in our school, he's forever quoting Japanese, Steve. He loves it. So, and I think that is something we quite often talk about in Carrera's studio is, you know, being aware of yourself and being aware of others. I think it's really important, and it means that you have that respect in the arena. If you have an awareness of yourself and you're also aware when maybe others, you know, kind of new starters to the school or whatever may come in and be a bit feisty. But if you're aware of that and you kind of dial it back and help them take a chill, then I think that creates a nice school.
That's a great word for it, feisty. Yes, we've all had that moment with the feisty newcomer. I was one of those.
Yeah, me too.
I think everybody is. Nuri, what do you think about awareness in terms of your personal journey? And you know, take that next level if you want to, and talk about the discipline of it. I think that's important.
Well, what I would say is mostly more for those who are already a part of the school or are at that advanced level to where we can be able to teach the awareness to those who are coming in. You know, I actually started a leadership program at the school that I'm currently at, and you know, teaching the teenagers to be the example for everybody else has been, you know, quite a journey. We've only been running it for about a year, but you know, having them learn how to be aware of how they act in front of, you know, the other students that they're friends with, but they're not at that leadership level yet. I think is something that's very important in our discipline. You know, me growing up in the school that I attended, you know, part of becoming a black belt is being able to teach somebody else. And there's no way you can do that without being aware of what the sport really entails. And it is not just the aspect of, you know, competing, is the aspect of, you know, are you respectful? You know, do you persevere no matter what? And, you know, any of the tenets that we have within our sport, I think that's like the biggest thing in regards to awareness that I can put my 2 cents into.
I love that. I love that you're talking about bringing that to teenagers, kids early, right? That's one of the things I loved the most about joining the school with my son at the time. And he really was the reason I stepped in there in the first place. Who knew, right? But when you have that sense early on and you bring it into your adulthood, what a gift that is. And I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day. You know, you're talking about a leadership program. How that's awesome, first of all. So congratulations for creating that and bringing it to your young people. But we were talking about what it even means to be a leader, you know, and different people have different ideas about what that is. But what do you think, if you had to say the most important piece of being a leader is in class, what would you say it is?
In class, well, you know, if you ask that to like a general person, they're always, you know, I get to be the boss, or, you know, I get to tell everybody else what to do.
Yes.
That especially the kids, you know, it's like, oh, you know, you're a little bit older than the other guy over there and you're a higher belt. So, you know, now they feel like they have all the power because, you know, we gave them that leadership position. But I feel like the most important thing for them is learning how to use that to help others, not themselves. And that was why I created the program. I've actually worked in a whole bunch of different schools, and I kind of, when I built my company, I was able to, you know, pick and choose what I saw worked and didn't work in every single school. And that's how I created the program. Having them experience what we experience as, you know, the instructors, and having them see that, you know, kid, I don't know, Jimmy over there doesn't like to listen very well. And then I could be like, you know what, you were the same way. How did we handle you when you were that way? You know, now it's your turn. And that kind of teaches them way more awareness of the sport. Oh, you know, yeah, I kind of do remember that I was that way. But I learned from it. I got better, and now I have the chance to help somebody else the same way that my instructor helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. I love that. Maria, I would imagine awareness, the discipline of awareness mastery is in your back pocket all the time. Talk to me about this in your personal journey.
Well, in my case, it's something I like to pass to the people. One, more the discipline, I think, is the self-discipline, the idea of self-discipline. That is straight go the awareness, because if you are unaware, you can follow orders, and you can be you can have good discipline. Sit down, you sit down. Oh, have good discipline. But the important is you sit down because you know you have to sit down. Then that became. And another thing I always tell to the people is like, especially you start with the children, no? You brush your teeth because you know you have to brush your teeth, not becoming all the time like a sheep just following. Because when you are conscious, or you know what you have a good listening, you start understanding, you can react. Because you know people start going just for shouting. You shout to me, you go the alarm, you run. You don't know, you don't start aware of, oh, it's fire, I used to smoke, I react before any noise or anything like that. Then it's giving you a step further, just with a little steps, like I say, just having start the morning, wash your teeth because it's good, you know, it's good for you. And then you start having a different process. And like I say, what we do in a sport, as a sport, it's a fighting sport, you know, and you use it for self-defense. You can use for self-defense. You're teaching things that you're going to become with power. You need to be aware of this power, because you cannot use it like driving a car, a Porsche, and then try to go and run and push as far. You have to control, and you need to be, and I say, you're running, you lost, no problem. But you're fighting, they're going to hit you. You know, even if you do well, they're going to hit you. Then you need to be be more relaxed, control your emotions, be so many things you need to have over there with this sport. Then just in case people don't take it, I tell them, you know, because it's important they catch this idea, you know, super important. And that's you building things for life, like like Christina said, you put it in your bag, and then anytime it happens, you got them there, you use them.
Yes, so important. Oh my gosh, so many things you just said are important. So Master Holloway's quote, from the beginning was discipline the mind, the body will follow. And I kind of thought I knew what that meant when I read it, when I heard it the first time, but you realize through your practice, really, truly the power of it, especially controlling your emotion. You mentioned something also that you were talking about reaction. And I always think of this as if I'm in my good place of awareness, I can respond instead of react. And that one thing has been a gift in my whole life, not just in my martial arts practice or in the Dojang. That one thing, what else do you want to say about that? Responding. Why is that such a gift?
Well, it's a gift because it helps you to go fast. That's another time. I don't push people to compete because I know it can when you're not ready, it can put you down because you just go like, oh, I'm not good and hurt you. You have to be ready. It's the same that the contact. If you want to, I think you have to pass for contact, because it makes you strong, but not strong, just the body and the mind, and then you're more ready to go on against things. It's like, you start swimming always in the swimming pool, and then you go one day, you go to the sea, and then you start getting that confidence. When you go after in the swimming pool, you feel confident, Then it's a little bit like this journey, just this reaction, it helps you to go faster and in everything, in life, in sharp. You see someone is coming and you're going to move and you're going to do it. You're going to do the same in jobs. Something happened, you're reacting. And like I say, if it's no, doesn't matter. You're ready. You just take it. And once you take it, you can react again. Even if you fall down on the floor, doesn't matter. I do been practicing another martial arts for 15 years now. Sistema is a Russian martial arts. Beautiful, beautiful people. Every time I can, I try to do with the top masters. One is still in Russia, in Moscow, and the other guy is in Canada. And they even thinking in this stuff, coming from the army, and so settled and so calm in the life, in the spirits and everything. And this is what I believe in martial arts, Then when they go in a high level like that, this is skillful just because it's a fighting, it's a war, they're coming from the war. And they still having, it's like, oh, probably we're doing something good. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. So you're talking about one of my favorite things about the practice as a whole. I'm going to ask all of you a little bit about your favorite piece, but one of mine is that, I've been a lifelong athlete. I've done a lot of things with my body. I played collegiate soccer and I ran marathons and I've done a lot of things. I've always been active, but it wasn't until I started martial arts practice that I realized this practice has all of the components for your body: strength, flexibility, agility, and for your mind, all of the things we've been talking about today. It's one of the very few activities, I think, that is so mind, body, soul. It's so integrated in all of those parts. So that's one of my favorite things about it. And in the beginning, sparring was my absolute favorite thing about going to class. I was ready every class. I put on, suit up, and fight and practice my response and my reaction time and my body's ability, right? The body memory to do a move where I wasn't even barely having to think about it. It would just happen. Like, those moments felt so good to me. So Nuri, I'm going to start with you for this one. What's your favorite part of this?
Well, growing up, I was actually the opposite of you. Sparring was definitely not my favorite portion, mostly because if you know me personally, I'm not a very tall person. I'm currently 4 feet 8 inches. So most of my students are already bigger than me and they're still in elementary school. But my instructor did push us hard on sparring because, you know, he was a world champion in sparring and he was a small guy. So I kind of grew to enjoy sparring, but I wouldn't say that would be my favorite part yet. Poomsae, or, you know, what we call forms or kata in other disciplines, that would be my favorite, especially with the new, you know, rules that we have with the WT. I enjoy the fact that we can move past just learning the moves and what they're for and try to perfect the moves to the best of our ability, which is, you know, how the international competitions are now. It's literally same pattern for every person, no matter whether there's 2 people in that division or 120 people in that division. We're all walking in there and doing exactly the same pattern, and we're just picking to see who has put in the most work within those same motions. So definitely that's usually the biggest thing that I push on, which is Poomsae. And it's also, you know, it's a little bit more, puts the parents more at ease than, you know, the sparring portion. You know, I've had parents that are like, yeah, I want my kid to compete, but I don't want them to get hit. And I'm just like, I don't know. You put them in the martial arts where, you know, you're going to get kicked, you know, unless you're like super fast and you're really good at blocking. It's going to happen. So the forms portion has kind of put the parents at ease because they can still compete at a higher level, especially since Poomsae has been growing a lot lately. But yeah, that would be my favorite part.
One of my favorite things was to sit in an exam as a higher color belt when they started to invite us to the black belt exams. And I remember sitting, watching the portion where the black belts would be on the floor together, performing the forms, and that synchronicity of it and the power of it, and just watching that years of practice in those moves, you could watch it and feel it, right? I would always get such goosebumps watching that. Love it. Christina, how about you? What's your favorite part about this?
Yeah, it's funny you said about that, actually, because I actually talk about that in my chapter. Like, you feel a vibe and you feel something really important's happening when you're all moving together. So I do love that. The more advanced you get, the more you're kind of editing how you do certain techniques. So you might have done a punch in a certain way or a particular technique in a certain way for years, and then you just kind of tweak it ever so slightly and you're like, oh, that's better. I like that feeling. And then also sparring is so fun. I mean, also just the fact, like, you really are equal with anyone if you train for it and if you know how to approach the fight. So I feel like it's always quite an achievement when you kind of win a fight against a really, really tall, big guy or something like that. I love that feeling. And it's very empowering as a woman to be able to do that as well, I think.
I find it fascinating hearing you say that the fighting part of this is the equalizer, because I don't think anybody listening who doesn't know about this would have thought that. Yeah. And so you said, if you are this, and this, it's the equalizer. So what are those pieces, right? I know speed, flexibility, right? What else do you think of in terms of that?
I suppose it's technique and also what else have you got in your back pocket? Like, because that person may be throwing the same moves repeatedly again and again, and you know how to combat those moves, and you might throw something that completely catches them off guard. And then sometimes you can, Maria teaches us that you can use someone's height to your advantage if you're shorter than them, to dip in and out. And yeah, exactly. I know that the guys on the call will know about that. So
everyone's giggling as she's talking about that. I love that. It's so funny to me. It is so true though. And you feel so good that you have that ability in those moments. And again, you know, I'm sure everyone has been looked at sideways a little bit when you start to talk about fighting tall, tall men. Maria, talk to me about your favorite piece of this. Maybe all the pieces are your favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, because I enjoy quite a lot, you know. Fighting, I love fighting. One, because it's quite challenging, like I say, and I like to, how better is the other one in front, how the more I enjoy, you know. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna win, but I enjoy. Just knowing that they don't blow you down, they don't keep you, you just still winning, like, okay, I can survive. And if I survive with these people, it's gonna be easy if it's in a stress situation or things like that. I really like, I know I am quite strong. I mean, I don't look like, but I know I'm quite strong as well, you know. But I know how hard people hit as well. Then I humble as well, and I know they can put you down as easy as well, you know. Then, you know, both sides. But it's excuse as well to stay ready, because it's not the same when you don't have any goal. Like having a competition, it makes you be like, oh, I need to keep fit, I need to keep training, I need to do. Then for me, it's an excuse. It helps to bring students with me, because I am the example. Then people come, you open a door to them. Then that's one thing. I really enjoy the learning side. Then any people can teach. No, everybody, you know, you just get the time that you want more quality, of course. It's like in everything. But I really enjoy, like, any people can throw me something that I really like it. I just go amazed and I practice and I keep playing, and then I pass through again. Anything. I really enjoy everything, you know, going on the floor, doing even things that you don't like it. It's like, oh, it's a challenge. And I can tell after, I can pass to the people because it's a challenge. I love to teach, I love to teach children from 3 to years old, and tell them that because I'm teaching, they are old enough now, and play with these things. And I teach the oldest, and no, like I say, no excuses for nothing, you know. It's just, I really enjoy everything, you know. If it's something I like to see, like game play time, and enjoy, and just everything, you know. I really enjoy everything. We are so lucky. We are in a great journey, you know.
Yes, you guys have heard from Maria, no excuses, about 5 times during this interview. I hope you're listening. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all this last question. I'm going to stick with Maria to answer it first. And listen, this last year with COVID has been very challenging for people. To say the very least. I mean, we all had our challenges before that happened. We were all in our lives dealing with whatever we were dealing with. And then to have had a full, you know, now it's almost a year, I guess, rolling up on it. And I know that all the things that we've been talking about today, this martial arts practice, this way of life, the lifestyle, it's what I've practiced inside in class. It's what I've practiced outside in my life. And it has helped me through the most challenging things, the worst possible things that people can imagine. So I was hoping that we could offer just some words of support to the listener. You know, we've all practiced that. We've made a lifestyle of it, but Maria, what would be some words of support you would give to our listeners right now who might still be struggling? Something simple that's helped you.
Thinking the lack of the opportunity, you know. You're lucky because even if you had a bad situation, you lost someone, you lost whatever, it's a starting point to realize it makes you go strong, grow yourself. Then anything in the life is going to be a kind of, in a side another. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, but it gives you chances to grow in another way. It can put you down if you don't manage to do well, but you got a chance there, and it's seeing the chances, you know.
Yes.
And use the people is around that can help you, but don't try to hug into these people. Use and jump, because sometimes people try to hold them, and then they feel like the people leave them. No, they don't leave you. Everybody got their own life, you know?
So it's okay to let go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Every opportunity, every moment is an opportunity for growth. I love that. Yes. I've lived that way myself. Christina, how about you?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I think after this year, and I think anyway, like a friend of mine, she always uses this quote, which may be quite a cliche, but it's a useful one. And it's, if you're going through hell, keep going. And I think that's applicable in kickboxing. If you're doing an exam, you're sweating, you're exhausted. It's applicable if you're in a fight and you've been punched in the face so many times and you're really losing. But I think it's really applicable now and today. So I've, had a terrible experience in COVID within my family, which I talk about in the chapter. And, you just got to think beyond then. This can't go on forever. There's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep going.
I love that. Just keep moving. Just keep going. Nuri, talk to us about this. What are some words of support you have?
Man, I mean, it's been a struggle. I'm pretty sure everybody, had experience with either family, friends, or even your own business. I've already heard of many friends of mine that have dojang all over the U.S. that were pretty successful that have been shut down already. So the only words I can say is, we have to keep our heads up no matter what. Okay. So even if, we have to close our business, we need to either find a way to eventually reopen it or find something else that we can feel the same amount of passion that we do as we have with the sport that we all love so much, which is our martial arts. So, if we have more time during our day, I've had a lot of people that are like, I taught myself a new instrument over this entire COVID period, and now they're totally in love with it. So, find another outlet to put your mind to rather than continuously thinking about, the bad stuff.
Perfect. I love it. Maria Carrera, Nuri Criollo, Christina Morris. Thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you for having all of us.
Yes, listeners, don't forget, we're going to have a little live stream book launch party on the Brave Badass Healers Facebook page on March 16th. 10 a.m. We're going to be talking to all of our authors about their journeys and perseverance. Brave Healer Productions will be matching our paperback copy sales to donate books to the Light of Truth Center that day. That's an organization here in Maryland that helps recovering women get back up on their feet. And lastly, you guys, I like to end the shows with a big, juicy question. So here it is. What if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? You'll be finding a few of those somethings in this new book. So it's time to be brave, you guys. See you next time. Love what you heard today. Don't forget to drop down and hit that subscribe button, you guys, and then join me over at bravehealer.com for just a little bit more healing badassery. Have a great one.